It's 3:07 in the morning. Your eyes open. Nothing happened. No sound. No dream you can remember. No reason. But you are wide awake, staring at the ceiling, and your mind is already racing. You check your phone. You put it down. You lie there. And somewhere in the back of your head, a quiet, nagging thought appears. Something is wrong with me. But the real answer is far stranger. You are not broken. You are remembering something your body was never allowed to forget. For most of human history, this moment was not a malfunction. It was a scheduled event. Historian A. Roger E. Kirch spent over a decade combing through diaries, court records, medical books, and letters from pre-industrial Europe. He found something almost every modern person has never heard of. People didn't always sleep in one continuous block. They slept in two. A first sleep, starting shortly after dusk. Then, in the dead of night, they woke up. Not from stress, not from a phone. They simply woke because that was the shape of the night. This waking period had a name. The English called it the watch. People used it to pray, to talk quietly with a partner, to tend a fire, to think. Then, after an hour or so, they drifted into a second sleep that carried them until dawn. It wasn't rare. It wasn't disordered. It was Tuesday. Then the lights came on. Gas lamps, electric bulbs, factory schedules. Suddenly, night stopped being a landscape you moved through and became a block of time you were supposed to erase in one unbroken stretch. The watch didn't disappear. It just lost its place in the culture. So when your body still tries to do it, you no longer have a name for it, a ritual for it, or a reason for it. You just have anxiety at 3 a.m. and a phone glowing in the dark. Is this just a historical curiosity? A cute footnote about candlelight and diaries? Not quite, because in the 1990s, a researcher decided to actually test it. Psychiatrist Thomas Ware, working at the National Institute of Mental Health, ran an experiment that sounds almost too simple. He took a group of people and put them in near total darkness for 14 hours a night, for weeks, with no clocks, no artificial light, nothing to do but exist in the dark. No modern schedule, no blue light, no stimulation, just darkness, the way most of human history experienced it. Within a few weeks, something shifted. The subjects stopped sleeping in one long block. They split, almost exactly like a Kirch's historical diaries described, into two distinct phases, with a period of quiet wakefulness in between. Ware's subjects weren't insomniacs. They were doing something ancient. Their bodies, freed from artificial light, rediscovered a rhythm they had never actually lost. It was just buried under 100 years of light bulbs. So when you wake at 3 a.m., you are not glitching. You are colliding with a rhythm still coded into you, one your ancestors expected and planned around, one modern life simply forgot to make room for. But why 3 a.m. specifically? Why not 1 or 5? This is where biology adds its own layer. Your body runs on more than a light switch. It runs on cortisol, a hormone tied to alertness. Endocrinologists have long documented what's called the cortisol awakening response, a natural rise in this hormone in the hours before you wake, designed to prepare your body for activity. For a large number of people, cortisol also has a smaller, secondary rise in the middle of the night, especially under stress. Layer that onto a mind still primed for an ancestral watch period, and you get exactly the sensation people describe. Not just awake, but alert. Not just alert, but thinking. Usually about the worst things. And this is where the story gets a little unfair, because the middle of the night is also when your brain is at its worst for processing worry. Researcher Jennifer Wint, who studies the psychology of sleep and dream cognition, has pointed out that the brain in these in-between states of consciousness handles emotional regulation very differently than it does during the day. Your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for calm, rational perspective, is still partially offline. Your amygdala, the threat detector, is not. So a passing thought about a work email at 3 p.m. stays a passing thought. That same thought at 3 a.m. can spiral into something that feels like a crisis. You are not overreacting. You are thinking with half your brain's calming system turned off, in a body that expects, biologically, to be awake right now anyway. Here's the strange part nobody tells you. The watch period wasn't just tolerated in the pre-industrial world. It was useful. People used it. They used it for connection, for reflection, for quiet planning, for prayer, for simply existing without a task attached. It was built into the rhythm of the day, not fought against. Now compare that to what you probably do. You wake at 3 a.m. and the first instinct is panic. Something must be wrong. I need to fix this. I need to fall back asleep immediately, or tomorrow will be ruined. That panic itself, layered on top of a normal biological event, is often what turns 5 minutes of quiet wakefulness into 90 minutes of spiraling. What if the goal was never to eliminate the waking? What if it was only ever to eliminate the fear of it? Think about what changed. Not your biology. Your environment did. Endless light, endless stimulation. A cultural expectation that 8 hours means 8 unbroken hours, no exceptions, or something is medically wrong with you. That expectation is barely 2 centuries old. Your nervous system is far older than that, and it never got the memo. This doesn't mean every 3 a.m. waking is ancestral nostalgia. Chronic, severe sleep disruption is real, and it deserves real attention, ideally from a doctor, not a video essay. But for the ordinary, occasional experience, the one where you wake, your mind runs a few laps and eventually you drift back off, the frame matters. A malfunction demands to be fixed immediately, and that urgency creates its own tension. A rhythm just needs to be lived through. Some sleep researchers now suggest almost exactly what your ancestors stumbled into by candlelight. If you wake in the night and can't immediately fall back asleep, don't fight it like an emergency. Get up. Sit in dim light. Do something calm and low stimulation. Let your mind have its watch. Then, when the pull of sleep returns, go back to bed. It's not a productivity hack. It's just remembering how nights used to work, before anyone thought they had to work any particular way at all. There's something almost comforting in that. The moment that feels the most isolating, lying alone in the dark at an hour when the whole world seems to be sleeping except you, is actually one of the most universal experiences in human history. Every person who has ever lived before artificial light knew this hour. They just didn't call it insomnia. They called it the middle of the night, and they lived in it on purpose. So the next time you open your eyes at 3 a.m. for no reason, remember there is a reason. It's just an old one. Your body isn't malfunctioning. It's remembering a version of the night that existed for most of human history, one with room in it. For you to simply be awake, quietly, in the dark, the way people always were, long before anyone thought that was something to fix.